Now, I've been covering Dominique Moody case from the very beginning, from, when the child was found to have passed away, the arrest of the women and so forth. When did this case, I guess come to your, space as far as knowing that this happened, and how did it impact you?
So I had an email from the uncle out of Fayetteville in reference to the case. It was after she had died, and it was in the latter part of December. So I already was abreast of it. And I forwarded to the legislator that is in the district. But since I serve on the Joint Legislative Oversight, Health and Human Services Committee and vice chair of health, as well as the overall oversight committee, I decided, well, this needs to have some action on it. And so I had spoken to one of the other relatives that knew the family very well. But after, and then that was in the campaign. So it was just like right now, I couldn't like wrap it down. But time the campaign was over, March the 2nd, I was reaching out to Bill Draft and let's get going. We need to do something and work with the Department of Health and Human Services to come up with what I could do.
What were the most shocking things when you heard more details or read more details about the case, speaking to the family and so forth?
Yeah, so I got some of the documents and I sat down and I read through it and I was just shocked. I was overwhelmed by what I had seen, by her living in a cage, that she had been bonded with tape, and that a bag had actually been put over her head, so she could not see them eat. Just deplorable conditions that the home was in. Shocked that the police had been out there over 50 times. Just stunned. Yeah.
With this bill, kind of talk to me about the main thing you want to do, and how you want to protect children so that this doesn't happen again.
So I had checked with the Department of Health and Human Services and found out it was another program ran out of UNC Chapel Hill called RAMS. And that program look at children from 0 to 3, but they are children that have medical major diagnosis. So I looked at that program, and when I checked with the department, I said, do you have a rapid response team in place? What can we do so that there's not a delay in the oversight when something happens? And can we figure out how to connect the dots so that people can see the information, that social workers can see the information? How many times did 911 get called? How many times did the police go out there? And what happened? So I looked at all of that, and working with them, we came up with an escalation team. We have 6 people. One would be the program manager, and the other ones would be escalation specialists. And they would do from ages 0 all the way up to 17, 18 as juveniles, looking at when cases come, if it's a certain number that are coming, looking at the history of the person that's thinking about doing kin care or doing foster care. Foster care is more stringent than the kin care is, and this was under kin care, preventing some delays as well, because if the person gets to the house and they can't get in or denied entry, they have to petition to get in. And that petition could take a while if you haven't go through the courts. And then if they felt the child's life was in danger, immediate danger, they could do an ex parte. That could take a couple of hours to do that. But they need that assistance from somebody that oversight that can assist them when these cases come about, because they have a lot of cases. Also, it's an investment in there that will give them additional training on how to recognize neglect and abuse, because only 4% of what they do is focused on that, as far as in looking at the children.
What is your message to children as you put these efforts together? I know with the escalation team is kind of a check and balances, like you mentioned, in general. So I guess what is your message in general?
Yeah, so I think given that next level of oversight, and having that accessibility to someone that have expertise in that area, and the specialists will have expertise in that area. They will be regional specialists. They will also work hand in hand with the local DSS. When they get an issue with the child, then they can escalate it. And then, of course, the escalator is going to look at the total picture and then work with DSS as needed.
Then I know there's some legal things that are going on as well, as far as with, DSS and, trying to find out where, I guess, the ball was dropped, and so forth. I guess what would you want to see, whether through an investigation or so forth? What do you want to have come out of this?
So What I knew I wasn't going to be able to get all the information. I had already sent a letter in to DSS here requesting the information, and because I'm on the oversight committee, they can't deny it. But when the judge came out with the gag order, that allows them to hold back. But this case is so severe. So severe. I've never seen anything like it that now, even though I don't have everything that I need to know or we need to know, it was not a time to not do anything. It was time to look at what I did have available to me. And I did have all the court documents. I don't have the DSS documents. I could see that possibilities, some gaps were there. I haven't been able to identify them, but we know that something went wrong and we need to figure it out because this doesn't ever need to happen again to nobody's child.
Perfect. Is there anything else you'd like to share? And who else is on this bill, or sponsors, or
So, Representative Tesser is on the bill, Representative Colvin, who is out of the Fayetteville area, and Representative Donnie Lambert is on the bill. Yeah.
perfect. Is there anything else you'd like to add or share before, or any other comments you'd like to make?
No, this happened right before the little girl was going to turn 7 years old. And as I was reading the documents that I had from the courts, and the sister um, gave a lot of information when they interviewed her, Desiree. Dominique never went to school, and I don't know why she never went to school. But when I was reading the documents, Desiree never said, my sister said this or my sister said that. So it made me wonder if the child was even verbal and could speak, because Desiree never said, my sister said this. She said she only heard her scream. She only heard her scream. And that trauma right there is going to last with Desiree the rest of her life. And I'm hoping that people don't forget what happened to Dominique Moody.